Hey everybody, welcome to Chapter 26, Rococo to Neoclassicism, the 18th Century in Europe and America. Okay, here we've got our learning objectives, and if you wanted to take a screen capture of that, hopefully you can read through my little picture there on the screen. There's a lot of interesting things happening here. And, things that we know about from history that we all were required to learn growing up. So, and here's our timeline. And there's so much going on. Oh my gosh. So feel free, take a screen cap. If you see anything there that you find really interesting, there's so much happening. Okay, here we have Angelica Kaufman. Cornelia presenting her children as her treasures. So cute. I mean, it's so bright and pretty. This work, it pretty much embodies the Enlightenment's embrace of the values of the Greco-Roman world. It's Kaufman's Cornelia presenting her children as her treasures. So that's an important point to remember. And then here we have Sir John Van Brugh and Nicholas Hawksmoor. Okay, we're getting into these elaborate palaces, and there's a lot of hearkening back to the classical era, the Greco-Roman era. Okay, now we've got, look at this Rococo. You know, if you saw this, you'd be like, either you're like, oh, it's so ornate, or oh, it's so gaudy. But that was a huge style, the Rococo. Extremely elaborate, a lot of gold, a lot of detail, a lot of how would you say it? Embellishment. Yes, embellishment. That's the word. So we're going to see that a lot. Okay, so Francois de Sevilles, the Hall of Mirrors, and the Amalienburg, which I think was like a hunting lodge, crazy, in Germany. And the building that is a prime example of the German adoption of the French Rococo style is Quevilles, the Amalienburg. So this is just one of the decorated rooms in this lodge for the rich. Johann Bernhard Fischer von Erlach. So, oh yeah, we're in Austria now. But it's funny how we've seen the dome so many times, and the pediment, and the minarets, and oh my gosh, this building has got everything, right? And then, excuse me, Balthasar Newman's facade of the pilgrimage church of Virsenheiligen. I think I'm saying that right. Doesn't it remind you of the Westworks of previous times? I really am losing my voice. Sorry. But notice that the undulating... Hold on a second. I just talk too much. That's my problem. So the undulating facade of Balthasar Newman's Virsenheiligen church takes its inspiration from the buildings of Borromini. So those of you who have been with me in Art History 1, Borromini, and it's like in and out, that's undulating. And also Westworks. Okay, here we have the interior. Ooh, no, this is a different interior. Sorry. But again, Balthasar Newman. And I recognize the Rococo. You see all of that ornate and gold and embellishment. And then here is the plan of Virsenheiligen. And it looks kind of like a cross, right? We're used to that. Okay, another interior. This one is the Virsenheiligen by Balthasar Newman, and we're starting to get into these amazing ceiling paintings that were very illusionistic. And again, Rococo boy, Dominicus Zimmermann, And so this is German. German are getting into the adaptation of the Rococo, and they're showing it off. Okay, first big major artwork in this period. So the painting genre, created here by Antoine Watteau, in which the amusements and entertainments of the upper classes are depicted, is referred to as fete gallant. Fete gallant in, the French accent. In the debate among members of the French Royal Academy regarding the relative superiority of color or form, Watteau favored color. And the Rubenists. Okay, so think back to Peter Paul Rubens. The title of Watteau's pilgrimage to Cythera, as well as the activities and figures shown in the painting, is an allusion to the Greco-Roman deity Aphrodite. So I was first introduced to the idea of a fete or a fete. In the 90s, I went to the Netherlands, and there was like a local children's fair, and they don't call it a fair there, they call it a fete. So fete, it's just kind of like a fair, and they're going to have fun activities planned, and it's interesting that word is still being used today. Well, I don't know, that was the 90s. I imagine it is. Okay, Antoine Watteau. What is going on with this person? I'm guessing it's a male. But, elaborate. Lots of silks and luxury. Okay, now here we've got the signboard of Gersaint by Antoine Watteau. And similar to artworks we're going to see coming up, where we've got the, so much artwork displayed on the walls and such luxury. Okay, Boucher. It's probably Boucher. Francois Boucher. Cupid, a captive. The art patron responsible for the rise of Boucher to prominence in French painting after the death of Watteau, Watteau's gone, is Madame de Pompadour. Madame de Pompadour. What an interesting character. I mean, we know about the Medicis. They were so incredibly rich and wealthy. So here we have Madame de Pompadour supporting Boucher. She's the patron. This is like one of my favorite paintings ever. Oh my gosh, because it's ridiculous. Okay, so first of all, Fragonard. Fragonard is the artist, Jean-Honoré Fragonard, The Swing. And so you got to remember that this is The Swing by Fragonard. It's not very big. It's like, it's like this. But it seems like one of those, no, it's a little bit bigger. It seems like one of those monumental paintings. So much ridiculous detail. And what I know about this piece is that, okay, if you look at it for a while, you start to see this guy. And then there's a guy over here. And Madame, whoever she is, on the swing, flinging her shoe. So apparently, this flinging of the shoe is like symbolic for offering, everything a woman has to offer. So it's just like, entrances, where the entrance of the shoe. Oh my gosh. It's ridiculously sexual, and you would never know if you hadn't studied art history. Okay, and we've got nymph and satyr carousing. Oh, well, we know what's going on here, right? Clodion. Terracotta. Isn't that weird? It looks so much like marble, but it's not very big. It's like less than 2 feet tall. Can you imagine getting down into that marble? Or, that terracotta? Oof. Okay, here we have one of our famous ceilings, illusionistic ceilings. Giambattista Tiepolo, apotheosis of the Pisani family. And wow, 77 feet by 44 feet. So this is huge. And so this is like when you walk into the place and you look up, oh my gosh, there's heaven. Heaven, the ceiling opens up into heaven. So we're going to see a lot of that. The artist who transformed small-scale and intimate Rococo works to large-scale illusionistic ceiling paintings is Tiepolo, this guy. Hear more about him. Okay. All right, here we have Joseph Wright of Derby, an experiment on a bird in the air pump. Okay. Why do they always use birds for experiments? It's like, I guess it transitioned into rats later, but okay. I always think of the canary in the coal mine. You know, they would take a canary down. If the air was bad, the canary would die. So sad. But yeah, experiment on animals. That was a thing. Okay, so here we are in the Enlightenment, or the Age of Enlightenment. The Enlightenment notion of progress and the scientific revolution are highlighted in the paintings of Joseph Wright of Derby, this guy. Okay, so we're making advances in science. And same here, this is Joseph Wright of Derby, a philosopher is giving a lecture on an orrery. Oh, don't ask me what that means, but orrery. So now we're coming into the Industrial Revolution, okay? The industrialists became the primary patrons of Wright's paintings. So they were counting on him to show the advances of the Industrial Revolution. So they were the patrons who were paying for Wright's paintings. And it was all about the depictions of the wonders of the Industrial Revolution. Every time I think of the Industrial Revolution, I think of like a smoky train that's just spewing off so much pollution. But, you know, there were advances to be made, but it was a beginning. And Abraham Darby and Thomas F. Pritchard. This is a big artwork, okay? So the Coal-Brookdale Bridge, built over the Severn River, was the first structure built from cast iron. So that's kind of a big deal. Okay, so completely made of cast iron. Okay, I'm back. Sometimes I have to take a mini break. All right, here we have Jean-Baptiste Simeon Chardin, his painting called Grace. Okay, this is a big one, and listen to the reason why. Chardin, this artist, his praise of the simple goodness of ordinary people in such paintings as his Grace, the one here, is based on the work of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a key figure in the Enlightenment. Okay, so Rousseau was a philosopher. So this kind of thing is it's going to blow up. And Jean-Baptiste Greuze, the Village Bride, is an example of a new theme in the 18th century, which is, we know, the 1700s. One that appealed to audiences who admired natural virtue. They called it a sentimental narrative. So it's like the little things in life, right? So think about being from that era and the things that are just like sweet and pleasant to you. You know, it doesn't have to be upper class. Okay, Elizabeth Louise Vigée-Lebrun. Okay, so everyone knows her as Vigée-Lebrun. Her self-portrait, big deal. This painting demonstrates a new trend in art, the naturalistic impulse. So she's not like stiffly posed. She's like, it's almost like it's in life. So that started to become a new trend. And it broke away from the contrived poses of the past. In her painted self-portrait, Vigée-Lebrun shows herself painting Marie Antoinette. So you might think this is a blank canvas, but if you look carefully at it, here we have one of her patrons, and here she is. So this is Vigée-Lebrun's Marie Antoinette and her children. Yeah, all that we know about Marie Antoinette is that she was ridiculously rich. That's what we always hear. Let them eat cake, right? Let them eat cake. Everyone, all the people, when everyone was struggling to survive. So she wasn't very aware. And here we have an artist, Adelaide Labille Guiard, her self-portrait with 2 pupils. How cute is this? In her self-portrait, Adelaide Labille Guiard is shown accompanied by her students. So I don't see them painting. They're just kind of watching her. But, you know, hey, girl is teaching a class. And Hogarth. Okay, William Hogarth. He has a lot of symbolism in his paintings. This is called Breakfast Scene. And he's an English artist who used his paintings to translate contemporary literary forms, mocking societal issues, into the visual arts. So William Hogarth, he did that. We're going to see more of him. Okay, Thomas Gainsborough, Mrs. Richard Brinsley Sheridan. Oh, her name alone. Mrs. Richard Brinsley Sheridan. So in his portrait of Mrs. Richard Brinsley Sheridan, Thomas Gainsborough combines a naturalistic rendering of the sitting within a Rococo setting. So this appearance, I mean, she looks kind of like she's naturally sitting, not stiffly posed. And the Rococo, look at her clothing, it's so elaborate. And even the trees around her appear like just gentle and decorative. So cool. Okay, Sir Joshua Reynolds, Lord Heathfield. I don't remember him. But the English painter who specialized in grand manner portraiture, focusing on individuals who had played significant roles in critical events such as the American Revolution, is Joshua Reynolds. So that's a point well taken. He does look heroic and grand and old, but you know, hey, probably was about 40. People look so much older back in the day. Okay, Benjamin West. This is the death of General Wolfe. So we're getting into a lot of political pieces. The artist who set the standards for history paintings by combining the conventions of traditional heroic paintings. We know a lot about that. The Greco-Roman era, with modern realism in subject matter and dress is Benjamin West. Okay, so he took those old school Greco-Roman ideas of the, the ruler and the people as heroes, and then combined it with modern dress and ideals. So he put it all together. Okay, John Singleton Copley, Paul Revere. Can you imagine? That's Paul Revere, you know? Oh my gosh. He's the one that wrote about the town and alerted everybody, and there he is. And he doesn't look like I would have imagined him. I would have imagined him probably more handsome, right? But he looks like a regular guy. He's got the pirate shirt on. The name of the 18th century silversmith, that was Paul, portrayed in this painting by John Singleton Copley, is Paul Revere. Big guy in history that we all remember. Okay, now we get to Canaletto. All right, so so this is Toledo. That's in France or Spain. Canaletto's Riva degli Schiavoni, Venice, is an example of the painting genre, veduta, which was a product of the 18th century tradition of the Grand Tour. Viewing the art treasures of Italy on the Grand Tour played a major role in the rise of the Neoclassicism movement. So apparently Canaletto went on the Grand Tour, which was like a huge deal. It was like going on a cruise. It wasn't a cruise, but it was just like traveling to Italy and seeing all the grand artworks of the past, and then bringing that information back into his artwork. So notice how classical everything looks. I mean, we probably didn't see gondolas, like we have in Spain and Venice, Italy. I don't know why I said Spain, because of Toledo. Toledo's fooling me here. But, Venice, Italy, it's still a big deal to go ride in a gondola. But so he kind of brought that viewpoint back to his hometown. Pompeo Battoni, the artist who specialized in on-location portraits of individuals who were visiting Italy as part of the Grand Tour, is Pompeo Battoni. Okay, so all these artists are coming to look at the Greco-Roman structures, right? They were looking at artists of the Renaissance and just being inspired. So he would capture their portrait as they were en route in the Grand Tour. Okay, so here we've got The Etruscan Room by Robert Adam. Remember those Etruscans? They were, they let their women be part of society, and it was so fascinating how much women were supported and expected to be at the fancy dinners, and more so than the Greeks. Okay, so the decorative scheme of the Etruscan Room in Osterley Park House was inspired by contemporary, which was of the time, activity is the excavation of Pompeii and Herculaneum. Okay, so oh my gosh. Isn't that like mind-blowing? Okay, so we know about Pompeii. We know about all the discoveries and how everything was perfectly preserved by the lava, and how it was all like rediscovered. Well, that's like during this time. So interesting. Okay, Anton Raphael, Parnassus. Think about, the Greco-Roman representation of the human body. And so we're going to see a lot of nudity. Okay, here we are upon a major artist, Jacques-Louis David. David it's almost like saying Dali, and we'll get into Dali. But David, the Oath of Horatii, or Harati. Some people pronounce it differently. The artist whose work spoke for the Revolution, the French Revolution, was Jacques-Louis David. The element of Marat's, no, it's not Marat, I don't know why I'm saying that, of the Oath of the Horatii reflects enlightenment ideals rather than Neoclassicism. It's juxtaposed actions of men and women. So here we have our women that are just crying, and the guys are like ready for war. Oh dear. I'm going to see that again. Okay, so Jacques-Louis David, Death of Marat. Okay, this is a hugely important artwork. Huge. The painting by Jacques-Louis David that provided inspiration and encouragement to French revolutionary forces is The Death of Marat. This one. In the painting, David shows Marat in a bathtub full of blood, with his writing utensil in hand. In his other hand, Marat holds a petition given to him by Corday, and that was a young royalist woman, so like the enemy, prior to his murder. So he's just now reading it. With this painting, Jacques-Louis David displays Marat's death. So that's the guy who's depicted here, Marat, in a way that shows innocence and strikes compassion. David wanted viewers to see the sacrifice Marat made for utilizing his freedom of speech. Oh, big beginning. The image of Marat's blood left on the petition perhaps explains how Marat left a lasting mark on the French Revolution. So it's almost like they felt like he died for us, for freedom of speech. And that's a pretty big deal. It was a beginning. Okay, here we've got Jacques-Germain Soufflot. This is at the Pantheon. The Roman ruins of Baalbek in Syria provide the inspiration for the 18th century building Soufflot at the Pantheon. So if you look at the Roman ruins of Baalbek in Syria, which is modern-day Lebanon, you'll see it's like almost a carbon copy. So amazing. Okay, this is Horace Walpole and others, Strawberry Hill and Twickenham. Very castle-like, but notice this. I mean, we see a lot of elements of the past here. Oops. Okay, James Gibbs, St. Martin in the Fields in London. James Gibbs' influential design for the St. Martins in the Fields combines a body inspired by the classical temples. See that? The pediment and the columns. And then we have an Italian Baroque bell tower. So we're getting super fancy up in here with the Baroque. Okay, this is Chiswick House by Richard Boyle and William Kent, the architects. Chiswick House is a reflection of the stylistic trend in English architecture, Palladian classicism. Okay, so we're going to hear a lot referring to Palladio. Okay, this is James Stewart's Temple of Theseus. Does that sound familiar? Sounds like Greco-Roman gods again. And John Pitt's Rotunda and Cascade. Look at this beautiful little park and how the building's reflected in the pond. You know, that's like really thinking about your location. This is crazy to me. Okay, so Sanderson Miller made this medieval castle, and it was supposed to be Roman, and it was totally a sham or a false structure, so that people would come, you know, to see the attraction and come to the town, but it was totally fake. It's just hilarious. Okay, this is Henry Flitcroft and Henry Hoare, probably Hoare. The park of the English estate Stourhead Park, designed by Flitcroft and Hoare, is based on episodes from Virgil's Aeneid. So it sounds like Aeneid. You've probably heard of that historical poem, but it's pronounced Aeneid. Aeneid. Okay, another Henry Flitcroft, again inspired by the Greco-Roman era and Palladio. Thomas Jefferson. I was just like, when I first heard Thomas Jefferson is in this chapter, I'm like, no, that's too recent. But here we are, coming up on the late 1700s, early 800s. Okay, Thomas Jefferson's redesign of Monticello was influenced by the subject house and Palladio's Villa Rotunda. The American founder Thomas Jefferson built his home on the model of Palladian villas and strove to establish Neoclassical architecture as the national architectural style. So he just said what he wanted, basically, and now he's considered an architect. Yeah. Again, Thomas Jefferson, Rotunda and Lawn, inspired by Neoclassicism, so we see that, the pediment and the columns, and the dome. This is a crazy chapter, okay, so Houdon, his George Washington. Okay, there's a lot going on here symbolically. The element in Houdon's marble statue of George Washington is a Roman emblem of authority, the column of the 13 rods, or fasces. So like faces on a diamond almost, you know, you can imagine that. So 13 rods going around this little column. That makes him look like an emblem of authority. Okay. Horatio Grena, Jean-Antoine Houdin and Horatio Grena created neoclassical artworks in marble sculpture. In this statue, Grena, the sculptor, likens George Washington to the god Zeus. Oh, you know, Washington wished he had that body, but hey, you know, he's Zeus, so, okay. All right, here we've got a lot of additional notes. Any one of these would be great ideas for writing a paper. So I'm going to move down in case you need to screen cap. And then our discussion questions also. Great ideas. Okay, that's it.